Here's the harsh truth no one tells you. Attention is a currency, and when you're constantly spending it on a woman, you're making yourself cheap in her eyes. Yes, you read that right. The more you chase, the more you text, and the more you try to prove yourself, the faster she loses interest. Want to know why? Because women are hardwired to value what they have to work for, and your attention, when given too freely, kills her curiosity. It's not manipulation, it's human psychology. Ignoring a woman, when done the right way, flips the script. Suddenly, she's questioning herself. Why isn't he responding? Did I do something wrong? Is he losing interest? That tiny seed of uncertainty grows into attraction. Women chase what they can't fully have. It's not about being cruel or playing games. It's about creating space for her to see your worth. But let's be real. Most men mess this up. They either ignore her in a petty, spiteful way, or they overdo it and come off as indifferent. Both approaches backfire. Ignoring isn't about punishing her. It's about shifting the dynamics. You're not begging for her validation. You're showing her you're valuable enough to have standards, boundaries, and a life that doesn't revolve around her. And here's the kicker. This works because it's unexpected. Society tells men to be nice, consistent, and always available. But the guy who knows when to pull back stands out. He's not predictable, he's not desperate, and that unpredictability is magnetic. Throughout this video, we'll dive deep into the secret psychology behind ignoring a girl. We'll uncover why it works, how to do it the right way, and the subtle signs that she's starting to notice. If you've ever felt like you're chasing too much and getting nowhere, this will change your perspective and your results. So buckle up. It's time to stop running after her and let her come to you. 1. Why being too available makes you invisible. Here's a hard pill to swallow. When you're always available, she stops seeing you as exciting or desirable. In her eyes, you become predictable. Someone she knows will always be there, no matter what. And you know what happens to things that are always available? They lose value. It's human nature to overlook what's abundant and crave what feels rare. Think about it. When you respond to her texts immediately, cancel your plans to see her, or constantly check in, you might think you're showing her how much you care. But in reality, you're sending a different message. You're my priority, and I don't have much else going on. Sounds harsh, but that's how she interprets it. This isn't about playing games, it's about understanding attraction. Women are naturally drawn to men who seem like they have purpose, goals, and a life outside of the relationship. Being too available doesn't just make you predictable, it makes you boring. There's no mystery, no tension, no spark. She knows what to expect from you, and as a result, her interest starts to fade. A man who's always there isn't a challenge, and whether she realizes it or not, women are attracted to men who bring a sense of intrigue. Imagine this. You're messaging her constantly throughout the day. Every time she sends a text, you reply within seconds. At first, she may enjoy the attention, but over time, it starts to feel routine. One day you decide to do something different. Instead of responding immediately, you wait a few hours. You're busy, focused on your own things and not glued to your phone. Suddenly, she's wondering, why hasn't he replied yet? When you're less available, it doesn't mean you're ignoring her completely. It means you're showing her that you have a life. It adds depth to your personality and gives her a chance to miss you. The key is balance. You're not pulling away out of spite. You're simply letting her see you as a man with direction and purpose. In relationships, less can often mean more. By being less available, you allow her to see your value, and that's when you become someone she notices again. 2. The power of silence. Let her miss you. Silence is a tool most men underestimate. In a world where everyone is constantly connected, pulling back and embracing silence creates a powerful effect. When you stop texting her, stop calling, and give her space, you're doing more than just being quiet. You're creating a vacuum, And nature abhors a vacuum. That empty space makes her think about you, wonder what you're doing, and even question if she still has your attention. Here's the secret. Silence isn't about ignoring her out of spite. It's about giving her room to realize what it feels like without you in her orbit. When you're always reaching out, you leave no opportunity for her to reflect. Silence makes her curious. It makes her wonder, why isn't he saying anything? Did I do something wrong? Is he losing interest? That curiosity creates emotional tension, and tension is a powerful driver of attraction. Women don't miss what's always there. They miss what they can't have, or what they think they might be losing. Silence allows you to plant the idea in her mind that you're not as easily available as she thought. It gives her the space to appreciate your presence and notice the absence when you're not around. Let's say you usually text her good morning every day. It's become a routine, something she expects but doesn't think twice about. One day you stop. You don't text her at all. The first day, she might shrug it off. By the second day, she's starting to wonder. By the third, she's checking her phone more often, thinking, why hasn't he messaged me? She may even reach out first, just to confirm you're still there. Silence flips the dynamic. Instead of you chasing her attention, she starts seeking yours. It's not about being cold or distant. It's about using silence strategically to create space for her to recognize your value. The key here is confidence. Silence works best when you're calm and secure in yourself. It's not about sulking or waiting for her to notice you. It's about focusing on your own life and goals, trusting that the absence you create will draw her closer. Let her feel what it's like to miss you, and you'll see the difference it makes. 3. Attention overload, the fastest way to lose her. In today's hyper-connected world, it's easy to fall into the trap of giving too much attention to someone you're interested in. You might think that constant messages, frequent calls, and non-stop availability are the keys to building a strong connection. But here's the reality. Attention overload is the fastest way to lose her interest. When you bombard her with your time and energy, you inadvertently create a sense of suffocation. Instead of feeling cherished, she starts to feel overwhelmed. It's like having someone in your personal space 24/7. You begin to crave a little breathing room. Women, like anyone else, need balance and autonomy in a relationship. When you're always there, you strip away that necessary space, making her feel trapped rather than valued. Moreover, excessive attention can signal desperation. Desperation is unattractive because it suggests a lack of self-confidence and independence. When you're constantly reaching out, it can come across as though you have nothing better to do with your time. This not only diminishes your perceived value, but also shifts the power dynamic, making her feel like she's responsible for your happiness. Another critical aspect is the erosion of mystery and intrigue. Relationships thrive on a bit of unpredictability and excitement. If you're always predictable and readily available, the spark begins to fade. She stops looking forward to your interactions because they've become mundane and routine. Maintaining a level of unpredictability keeps the relationship exciting and keeps her engaged. Attention overload also prevents both of you from maintaining your individual lives and interests. Personal growth and having your own hobbies and passions are essential for a healthy relationship. When you're overly focused on her, you neglect your own needs and interests, leading to an imbalance that can strain the relationship. A man who has his own life is inherently more attractive because he brings more to the table. Furthermore, constant attention can stifle her own ability to miss you and appreciate your presence. Absence creates longing and a deeper appreciation for the times you do spend together. When you're always there, she doesn't have the chance to miss you, and the emotional investment remains shallow. The key to avoiding attention overload is finding the right balance. Show genuine interest and care, but also prioritize your own life and give her the space she needs. This balance not only preserves your individuality, but also enhances the attraction and appreciation she feels towards you. Remember, less is often more when it comes to building a lasting and meaningful connection. 4. How ignoring triggers her curiosity. It's time to wake up and stop handing over your power so easily. Too many of you believe that constantly chasing a woman will win her over. You flood her with texts, you're always the first to reach out, and you hover like her shadow. Guess what? That doesn't make her curious. It makes her bored. You're predictable, and predictability kills attraction faster than anything else. Ignoring isn't about playing childish games. It's about understanding basic human psychology. People are naturally curious about what they can't fully grasp or control. When you pull back and stop giving her all your attention, you ignite that curiosity. She starts wondering why you're not acting like every other guy who's desperate for her approval. That intrigue creates a magnetic pull, forcing her to think about you even when you're not around. But let's be real for a second. Ignoring doesn't work if it's done out of bitterness or resentment. Women can see through that. If your ignoring is just a tantrum because you're not getting the response you want, it'll backfire. The key is to shift your focus back onto yourself. Not as a strategy, but as a mindset. Stop centering your world around her. When you genuinely stop seeking her validation and focus on your own goals and purpose, the energy shifts. That's what triggers her curiosity. Here's the tough love. Many of you make yourselves too easy. You're always available, always saying yes, always trying to please her. Where's the challenge in that? If there's no challenge, there's no excitement. Women aren't drawn to men who are at their beck and call. They're drawn to men who hold their own, who are confident and self-assured enough to let her come to them. When you ignore her in a healthy way, by focusing on your life, your ambitions, and your growth, you show her that you're not desperate for her attention. This doesn't just trigger curiosity, it builds respect. She'll start asking herself why you're different, why you're not chasing her like the others. That's when she starts chasing you. So stop being the guy who's always trying to prove himself. Stop drowning her in attention and validation. Be the guy who knows his worth and isn't afraid to walk away if necessary. That's what creates curiosity, and curiosity is the first step toward genuine attraction. 5. Scarcity breeds value. Why she wants what she can't have. Here's a hard truth, gentlemen. People, including women, place a higher value on things that are scarce. It's a basic principle of human psychology. When something is readily available, it's easy to take for granted. But when it's rare or feels just out of reach, it becomes infinitely more desirable. If you're always present, always saying yes, and always at her disposal, you're essentially devaluing yourself. Think about it. How often do you find yourself cherishing things you can get anytime? You don't. The same applies to relationships. When you make yourself too available, you're sending a message that your time, attention, and energy are easy to obtain. There's no challenge, no exclusivity, and no intrigue. But when you step back and make yourself less accessible, you create a sense of scarcity, and scarcity breeds value. This doesn't mean you should be manipulative or play hard to get in a toxic way. It's about shifting your perspective. Instead of constantly seeking her approval, focus on your own goals and priorities. When your time becomes a limited resource, she'll naturally start to appreciate it more. She'll think twice about how she treats you, because she knows you're not someone she can easily pin down. Women are naturally attracted to men who exude confidence and independence. A man who doesn't need her to feel validated or worthy sends a powerful message. I'm valuable, and I know it. That's the energy that draws her in. When she realizes she can't have you whenever she wants, it makes her work harder to win your attention. On the flip side, if you're always there, she'll eventually lose interest. Why? Because there's no excitement in something that feels guaranteed. The thrill of the chase, the uncertainty, the mystery, it's all part of what keeps her engaged. Scarcity fuels that excitement. So, stop giving away your attention so freely. Make her earn it. Not because you're being arrogant, but because you recognize your own worth. Prioritize your life, your goals, and your happiness. When you do this, you naturally create an aura of scarcity. And that's when she starts to see you differently. Not as just another guy vying for her attention, but as someone she can't easily have. And in her mind, that makes you priceless. 6. Stop chasing, start leading. Chasing a woman might feel like the right move. It's what you've been taught by movies, songs, and society. But let's face it, constantly chasing doesn't get you the respect or attraction you want. It puts you in a submissive role, one where you're following her instead of walking your own path. That dynamic is not only unattractive, but also unsustainable. Women are drawn to leaders, not followers. When you're chasing, you're signaling to her that she's the prize and you're the one scrambling to win her. While appreciation and pursuit have their place in healthy relationships, chasing goes beyond that. It's an act of overcompensation, often rooted in insecurity. You think, if I just do more, she'll finally see my value. But the harsh truth is, the more you chase, the more your value diminishes in her eyes. Why? Because your actions scream desperation, and desperation kills attraction. Leadership, on the other hand, is about self-assurance. It's about knowing what you want and being confident enough to pursue your goals without seeking validation from anyone, not even her. When you stop chasing and start leading, you shift the dynamic entirely. You're no longer begging for her time or attention. Instead, you're inviting her to join you in a life that's already fulfilling and exciting. That energy is magnetic. For instance, imagine a man who spends all his time texting and calling a woman, planning his day around her responses. She feels the pressure of his constant presence and starts pulling away. Now, imagine a different man, one who has his own plans, ambitions, and passions. He doesn't bombard her with messages or rearrange his life for her. Instead, he focuses on his goals, makes his moves, and lets her come to him. The second man is leading by example, and his confidence is far more appealing. Leadership isn't about control. It's about direction. It's about showing her that you have a life worth being part of and that you're not afraid to walk it alone if she's not interested. This doesn't mean ignoring her or being cold. It means prioritizing yourself and your purpose first, and letting her see the strength in that. Stop chasing and start leading. When you focus on your life and goals, you naturally inspire her to want to be part of it. That's the foundation of genuine attraction, respect, and partnership. 7. When ignoring becomes attractive, confidence. Confidence is one of the most magnetic traits a man can have. But here's the twist. True confidence doesn't need to announce itself. It's subtle, effortless, and often revealed through your ability to ignore things that don't serve you. Ignoring isn't about being rude or distant. It's about knowing your worth and refusing to let external validation dictate your actions. When done right, it's one of the clearest signs of self-assurance, and women find it irresistible. Think about it. A man who's constantly chasing, over-explaining, or seeking approval isn't exuding confidence. Instead, he's showing that he needs others to affirm his value. On the other hand, a man who doesn't always respond immediately, who's selective about where he invests his energy, sends a powerful message. I don't need anyone's attention to feel good about myself. That quiet self-assuredness is what makes ignoring so attractive. When you ignore strategically, you're not playing games. You're setting boundaries. You're saying, I value my time and energy, and I don't waste them on situations or people who don't align with my goals. Women notice this. It's not just your words that speak. Your actions, or lack thereof, do too. And when those actions reflect confidence, they create intrigue. Imagine a woman who's used to guys falling all over themselves to win her attention. Suddenly, she meets a man who doesn't. He's polite, but he doesn't overly compliment her or try to impress her. He's focused on his own goals and doesn't make her the center of his world. That lack of desperation stands out. She starts wondering, why isn't he like the others? What makes him so sure of himself? That curiosity pulls her in. The secret lies in balance. Ignoring doesn't mean cutting off all communication or being dismissive. It's about prioritizing your own growth, passions, and happiness. Confidence grows when you're living a life you're proud of, a life that doesn't revolve around chasing someone else's approval. Men who understand this realize that confidence isn't about what you say to her. It's about the energy you bring into the room. Ignoring becomes attractive when it's backed by the quiet certainty that you're enough, just as you are. And that's the kind of confidence no woman can resist. 8. How to create emotional investment by pulling back. Let's be honest. Everyone wants to feel like they're worth someone's time and energy. But if you're always the one giving, always the one chasing, you're not allowing space for the other person to invest in the relationship. The key to creating real emotional investment is by pulling back. When you stop making yourself so available, when you shift the balance and take a step back, you give her the opportunity to miss you, to think about you, and ultimately to invest emotionally in you. It's human nature. We value what's harder to obtain. When you're always there, always doing the work, you're not giving her the chance to show interest. Emotional investment doesn't just happen. It needs to be earned. When you pull back, you make her realize that if she wants to keep you around, she has to put in some effort too. This shift in dynamics allows her to take responsibility for her own feelings, and it gives her a reason to want more of you. The idea here isn't to play games or manipulate her emotions. It's about creating a healthy space where both people can contribute to the relationship. When you pull back, you show that you have your own life, your own goals, and your own direction. You're not waiting around for her approval or affection, and that sends a message that you're comfortable with who you are. When she sees that you're not constantly available or chasing after her, it triggers a sense of curiosity. She starts wondering why you're not reaching out as much, why you're not constantly at her disposal. This emotional uncertainty creates a need for her to fill that gap. She starts to question herself and her own feelings, and that's when real emotional investment begins. Pulling back doesn't mean ignoring her completely or playing hot and cold. It means putting your own needs first and allowing her to recognize your value. It's about showing that your attention is not guaranteed and that she has to work for it, just as you do for her. This creates a natural, balanced dynamic where both people are emotionally invested and genuinely interested in each other. So, stop chasing, stop over-giving, and start pulling back. It's when you take a step back that you create the space for her to step forward emotionally. And that's where true connection happens. 9. The fine line between ignoring and neglecting. Here's a tough pill to swallow, but it's time for some tough love. Many men confuse ignoring with neglecting, and the difference could not be more important. Ignoring, when done right, creates curiosity and attraction. Neglecting, on the other hand, creates distance and disinterest. If you think you're playing the mysterious card by pulling away for too long or acting uninterested, but you're not being clear in your intentions, you're probably just neglecting her. And that's a major red flag. Let's wake up to the reality here. Ignoring and neglecting aren't the same. Ignoring is intentional. It's about stepping back to make her miss you, to make her earn your attention. It's the result of your confidence, knowing that your time and energy are valuable. Neglecting, however, is a lack of care. It's when you're not emotionally present at all. When you fail to give her any time or attention, and when you're not making any effort to nurture the relationship. The key difference is that when you ignore someone, they still know you're there. When you neglect someone, they wonder if you're even interested anymore. Men, this is where you need to wake up. Ignoring works when there's a foundation of respect and understanding. But neglecting? That's when you become invisible and eventually she walks away. If you're neglecting her, it means you've stopped investing in the relationship. You're not putting in the effort to maintain attraction, to keep the spark alive, or to show her she matters to you. And that's the last thing you want to do. Women need to feel seen, heard, and valued. They don't want to feel like they're being ignored or abandoned for no reason. The danger is that men often think pulling away for too long is a power move, but it's not. If you're not careful, it becomes neglect, because you're not giving her the emotional connection she's looking for. Don't make the mistake of thinking that silence equals strength. Silence can easily be misread as disinterest or indifference if it's not balanced with meaningful interaction. So, men, stop overcomplicating things. Ignoring is a tool in your arsenal, but it has to be done with care and intention. Neglecting is a sign of emotional laziness and inconsistency. If you really want to maintain her interest, you need to strike that fine balance. Ignore her to create attraction, but never neglect her to the point where she feels forgotten or unimportant. That's how you lose her. 10. Why? Ignoring works better than pleading. Let's get this straight. Pleading, begging, or chasing after someone for their attention is one of the quickest ways to lose respect and attraction. It might feel like the right thing to do when you're emotionally invested, but the truth is it shows weakness and desperation. And that's the last thing you want to communicate. Ignoring, on the other hand, is a power move. It's a sign of self-respect and confidence. When you beg or plead with someone, you're telling them that you need them more than they need you. It puts you in a subordinate position, and let's be honest, no one finds that attractive. People, especially women, are drawn to strength, independence, and confidence. They want someone who's secure enough not to beg for their attention or affection. When you plead, you put yourself at the mercy of their response, hoping that they'll come around. But that only undermines your value. Ignoring, on the other hand, shows that you're not dependent on anyone for validation. It's not about being rude or playing games. It's about setting boundaries and maintaining your dignity. When you pull back and give her space, you're saying, I have a life, I have goals, and I don't need your approval to feel good about myself. That subtle shift in energy is incredibly attractive. It shows that you're emotionally mature and in control of your own feelings. Think about it. When someone is always in your face, always pleading for your attention, it becomes overwhelming. It pushes you away because it doesn't give you any room to breathe or come to your own conclusions. Ignoring creates space. It gives her the chance to think, reflect, and miss you. When you're constantly present, there's no opportunity for her to realize what she's potentially losing. But when you step back, she's forced to consider the absence of your presence in her life. This isn't about playing hard to get or pretending to be uninterested. It's about knowing your worth and not being afraid to walk away if the interest isn't mutual. When you stop pleading, you stop begging for validation. Instead, you command respect through your actions and show that you're not afraid to let things unfold naturally. Ignoring works because it doesn't need anything from her. It's about you. It communicates strength, independence, and a clear message. You either want to be with me or you don't. And I'm fine either way. That's the mindset that makes you irresistible. Here's the truth that most men won't admit. If you're always chasing after her, you're already losing. Plain and simple. The more you beg, plead, or overextend yourself, the less she'll respect you. Women aren't attracted to desperate behavior. They're attracted to strength, confidence, and the ability to stand your ground. It's not about playing games, it's about creating balance and showing your worth through actions, not desperation. If you've ever felt like you're always the one reaching out, always the one making the effort, it's time to wake up. Stop chasing and start leading. The moment you take a step back, you'll see how powerful ignoring can be. When you create space and stop pleading, you'll notice a shift in energy. She'll start wondering why you're not chasing her anymore, and in turn, that will draw her in. But I want to hear from you. What has your experience been with ignoring versus pleading? Have you seen this strategy work in your own life, or did it backfire? Comment below and let me know. I'll personally reach out to connect, and I'm here to help you figure out how to apply this to your relationships. Together, we'll dive deeper into what really makes women tick and how you can step up your game. Keep your head high, and remember, confidence is the key.